Hello and welcome back to another episode of Rigmore of Bruma. In this episode, I get spicy mad, and you're about to find out why. Rigmore, you ready for this? Not that I care if you are.
What is this place? What happened here?
It was a shrine to the goddess Azura. It has been desecrated.
But why?
Sethri said all was about to be revealed.
Dragonborn, this is scary.
Don't be scared. Khajiit thinks you've just found your guardian angel.
Well, I hope so.
This is the first and possibly last time that I will ever write part of a script before narrating a video. I had so many problems with this section involving Azura talking to Rigmore that simply saying I hate it wouldn't have been enough to explain why I hate it. So here, and a few other places in this exchange, I've decided to pause the footage where I felt the need to interject. So, let's go.
Rigmore, my child, come closer and place your hands on the altar, so I can join with you and touch your soul. Ah, yes, my wonderful, beautiful child, daughter of Azura.
So, let's start off strong. Daughter of Azura? Really? Let's go over the first reason why I just find this absolutely baffling. Also, in hindsight, now that I'm writing the script, funnily appropriate considering the two characters tagging along on Rigmore's adventure. Azura is a very particular prince. Her spheres are dawn and dusk, but also egoism and vanity, according to a questline back in Daggerfall, fitting for Rigmore. There are two races that she is specifically associated with. The first, most obvious race is the Dunmer. In the book Varieties of Faith, present in Morrowind and the Dragonborn DLC for Skyrim, according to Dunmerry tradition, Azura is the one who taught the Chimer the mysteries needed to be different than the Altmer. She was also the one who cursed the Chimer after the death of Indoril Nerevar during the Battle of Red Mountain in the 700th year of the First Era. According to the Battle of Red Mountain, written by Vivek, no sooner than we had completed our rituals and begun to discover our newfound powers, the Daedra Lord Azura appeared and cursed us for our forsworn oaths. By her powers of prophecy, she assured us that her champion Nerevar, true to his oath, would return to punish us for our perfidy, and to make sure such profane knowledge might never again be used to mock and defy the will of the gods. But Sothasil said to her, "The old gods are cruel and arbitrary and distant from the hopes and fears of Myr. Your age is past. We are the new gods, born of the flesh and wise and caring of the needs of our people. Spare us your threats and chiding in constant spirit. We are bold and fresh and will not fear you." And in that moment, all Chimer were changed into Dunmer, and our skins turned ashen and our eyes into fire. Of course, we only knew at that time that this had happened to us, but Azura said, "This is not my act, but your act. You have chosen your fate and the fate of your people, and all the Dunmer shall share your fate, from now to the end of time. You think yourselves gods, but you are blind, and all is darkness." Overall, the point here is that Azura is deeply connected to the Dunmerry religious and social sphere. Her reach has touched literally every part of their lives, from nearly the moment the Chimer split from the Altmer at the behest of Boethia. If I hadn't freeze-framed this, I'd turn to Teldrin and point him out here. I may stick him somewhere on the screen later. He's a Dunmer. He'd have pretty in-depth knowledge of Azura. Definitely better than rigmarole of bromeliad here. Also, take a moment to remember that the Nerevarine is immortal. That will be important in a little bit. The second race that has a connection to Azura is probably lesser known, unless you love to read the random books that are scattered around the place. It's the Khajiit. This is referenced both in Varieties of Faith and Words of Clanmother Anisi Part 2. Here, Azura is referenced as Azura. Padome, referred to as Fatomai by the Khajiit, is the primordial force of chaos and change. Fun fact, it's also considered to be the same entity as Sithis. Fatomai, before dying, gave her favorite daughter, Azura, her greatest secrets. Along with these secrets came a command. When Nirni is filled with her children, take one of them and change them. Make the fastest, cleverest, most beautiful people, and call them Khajiit. Yep, Azura created the Khajiit, and did so from the shape-shifting, almost ooze people that would become the Bosmer. If fair, the Khajiit's form of the god of the Bosmer changed some of the forest people into Bosmer that would always be elves, as opposed to occasionally being beasts, as the Khajiit are. Well, it's interesting to consider this in a cultural context and figure out if that has something to do with the fact that the Bosmer and the Khajiit go to war with one another. We don't really have time to talk about that. So, Dorajira, you're a representative from the other race that Azura has an actual connection to. How cool is that? We have two races that are actually connected to Azura present, but she only has eyes for a Nord. For some reason. Here's the second reason that I find this part of this exchange to be baffling. Nords are already considered the sons and daughters of Kine. They've got a connection to Kine, aka Kinnereth or Kinarthi, because she is the one who taught Nords how to use the Thuum, according to both Varieties of Faith and the etched stones along the way to High Hrothgar. They're also closely connected to Shor, Kine's husband, and Talos, the man who became a god. Shor is also known as Shezar to Cyrodiils, or to those of us who have definitely heard his elven name, Lorkhan. Shor is the human name for the god Lorkhan, the one whose heart was fought over at Red Mountain, the one who caused the creation of Mundus, the one who was destroyed by his fellows. Talos is actually a Shezarine, which is a manifestation of the oversoul of Lorkhan, so counting him separately from Shor is suspect. Well, it's actually considered the oversoul of Talos, I think, but Talos was not a god until the Second Era, while Shezarines have been around since the Merethic Era. It's complicated and probably not good for thinking about for extended periods of time. Now think about this again. Azura, the matron of the Dunmer and the Khajiit, is claiming that this Nord child, Rigmor, is her champion. What about the Nerevarine? He may have disappeared off to Akavir, but he's still alive. The Corpus disease made him immortal. That was part of the Nerevarine prophecy. It's not something you can just throw away. A much better way, in my humble opinion, to handle this whole exchange with the deity would have been having either Shor or Kine contact Rigmor. If they wanted to keep the whole mother's love angle, Kine still would have been a good choice. Kine is the warrior wife, the warrior widow, the mother of Nords, the teacher of the Thuum. This is a god that has a connection to Nords in ways that Azura does not, yet we're stuck with Azura instead, a Daedric prince with no stake in the sphere of men. Right, well, with that out of the way, let's continue with this train wreck of a dialogue between Rigmor and Azura while Teldrin and Dorajira just stand there, simulating Lydia at her finest.
I don't understand.
Ever since you were born, I have been watching over you. Even when you were a little girl, I have influenced the destinies of many, and entwined them to bring you here, to this moment.
But why me? I didn't ask for any of this. I'm scared.
Don't cry, my child. Don't be afraid. My guardian has helped to protect you well up to now. But mortal danger awaits you both at Diamond Ridge. The forces of darkness conspire to wreak havoc at the behest of an usurper. From oblivion comes a new danger, one who seeks to reside in the world of mortals. The entity has not shown itself yet. but it cannot enter this world until a new order is established throughout Tamriel.
But surely you must have powers. What could I possibly do?
Oh, Rigmor, pure of heart, you do have something very special. A power no lords or gods could ever hope to wish for. You are blessed with a mother's love.
So we're really going here, huh? The power of love is going to get us through this moment? If only it actually would, but no, it doesn't. There are a few things about this that annoy me as well. Azura says that no gods or kings could ever hope for the power of a mother's love. Well, let's think about some examples that would have clearly been known to Azura, the matron of the Dunmer. We're going to start off with Baron Zaya. Now, it's clear from the things that we do know going on with Baron Zaya's life that it's kind of fishy. The official records probably don't tell us everything, and the historical fiction, the real Baron Zaya, has some truths and some lies, so we're going to have to put things together ourselves here. For any of the 4 people watching this right now who might not know, Baron Zaya became the first queen of Morrowind, helped foil the plot of Jagar Tharn, and had at least 2 children. Her husband, Symmachus, was murdered in some riots that nobody cares about because they didn't happen during the games. A lot of her life is suspect because she used to be quite a little thief, and even when she retired to become the Queen Mother, she was thought to have a lot of the power. What is never in question is that she seemed to have loved her children. She stayed with her son, King Helsith, after he took the throne in Morrowind, despite the fact that he went out of his way to have books published about how much of a skullduggery-loving murderer he is, as per the book A Game at Dinner, and his weird fascination with attempting to have the Nerevarine assassinated. Does Baron Zaya's love for Helsith not count as a mother's love? He's a king. Baron Zaya loved him. But let's shift gears into another particularly interesting case of, it's something alright. I mentioned Vivek above, and we're going to talk about him again here. For the 2 of you watching this who might not know, Vivek is a mother. The father of his children is Molagbal, and the tale of these children is related along the course of the 36 sermons of Vivek. Molagbal cut off Vivek's feet while he was hanging out in the Badlands. And because I don't really think that there's a way that I can summarize this and keep in everything that makes it special, I'm just going to quote these scenes from the sermons. Starting off strong with sermon number 12. Vivek looked on the King of Rape and said, "How very beautiful you are that you do not join us." And Molagbal crushed the warrior poet's feet, which were not invulnerable, and had legions cleave them off. Mighty fires from the beginning place were brought like nets to hold Vivek, and he let them. "I would prefer," he said, "some kind of ceremony if we are to be married." And the legions that took the feet were summoned again and ordered to begin a banquet. Pomegranates sprang from the Badlands, and tents were raised. A throng of Velothi mystics came, reading the passages of the severed feet on the ground and weeping until the scriptures were wet. "We must love each other briefly," Vivek said, "if at all. I am needed to counsel the Hortator in more important matters, because the Dwemer high priests stir up trouble. You may have my head for an hour." Molagbal rose up and extended 6 arms to show his worth. They were decorated in runes of seduction and its reverse. They were decorated in the annotated calendars of longer worlds. When he spoke, mating monsters fell out. "Where must it go?" he said. "I told you," Vivek said. "I am meant to be the teacher of the King of the Earth, Altadun Gartok Padome." With these magic words, the King of Rape added another, Chim, which is the secret syllable of royalty. Vivek had what he needed from the Daedroth, and so married him that day. In the hour that Baal had his head, the King of Rape asked for proof of love. Vivek spoke 2 poems to show him such, but only the first is known. "I am not sure just how much glass it took to make your hair, twice as much, I am sure, as the oceans have to share. Hell, my sweet, is a fiction written by those who tell the truth. My mouth is skilled at lying, and its alibi a tooth." The sons and daughters of Vivek and Molag Bal number in the thousands. The name of the mightiest is a string of power. Gulga Mor Jil Hayet I Hum. Kind of a mouthful, and I'm glad that I don't have to pronounce it again. So we come back with sermon number 14. Vivek lay with Molag Bal for 80 days and 8, though headless. In that time, the prince placed the warrior poet's feet back and filled them with the blood of the Daedra. In this way, Vivek's giant form remained forever harmless to good earth. Yada yada yada, skipping over some stuff that's not important. So Vivek, who had a grain of Ayem's mercy, set about to teach Molag Bal in the ways of belly magic. They took their spears out and compared them. Vivek bit new words onto the King of Rapes so that it might give more than ruin to the uninitiated. This has since become a forbidden ritual, though people still practice it in secret. Yada yada, skipping over some more stuff. But Vivek made of his spear a more terrible thing from a secret he had bitten off from the King of Rape, and so he sent Molag Bal tumbling into the crack of the biters, and swore forever that he would not deem the king beautiful ever again. Vivek wept as he slew all those around him with his terrible new spear. He named it Muatra, which is milk-taker, and even the Chimeri mystics knew his fury. So from this we can take the following. Ya boy Vivek got married to Molag Bal, and they had tons of children. Then Vivek used his spear to kill many people, but cried as he did so. He was not only killing his children, but Daedra and Velothi, which is a term for Dunmer, as well. Surely he would not have cried if he cared nothing for any of them? Later on, in Sermon 34, when he goes to kill the last of his terrible monster children, instead of simply slaying it, Vivek gave him consolation first. He could have killed his last child, but instead consoled it so that it would die peacefully. So Azura, let's see here. First we have a queen, who loved her son, a king. Then we have Vivek, who definitely had some form of love for all of his godly children monsters. These are things that Azura would be very well aware of. But hey, we've got even more to deal with after the jump.
Until now, I have used all my powers to thwart the forces of darkness and weaken their intentions. I have shielded you from harm, shrouded you in my robes, and delivered you from the abyss.
Now here's another thing that I really can't wrap my head around. Why is Azura protecting a single Nord child from the abyss? Consider her actual champion, the Nerevarine. Do you know how many Nerevarines died before the actual one showed up? Many. Very, very many. The question to ask is, were they really the reincarnation of Nerevar, and every time he failed he simply came back again? Or was it just the one? Even if you assume only the PC is the true Nerevarine, Azura never really did anything to actually intercede in his fate. The Empire delivered him to Morrowind to use him as a tool for the Emperor, which is why he became a blade. A Telvanni wizard used an experimental potion on him that cured the negative effects of Corporus. Granted, it killed everyone else who tried it, but he'd been tweaking the formula. When the Morag Tong comes to kill the Nerevarine, you know what Azura does? Literally nothing. Nothing at all. Let's take a second to think about her in the minds of her followers. She's one of the traditional 3 good Daedra, and is known for caring at least a little bit about her followers. According to one of her high priestesses in Invocation of Azura, she is a cruel but wise mistress. She's been shown to be incredibly vain, and takes poorly to being refused, as per her reactions in Daggerfall if you refuse her quest. However, the priestess does say that Azura wants the love of her followers. Can we establish how Rigmor feels about Azura? At this point in time, it's likely that she knows next to nothing about Azura, because she didn't recognize a statue of Azura literally less than 2 minutes ago in game time. Rigmor, the Nord, has no connection to Azura, yet Azura, the Daedric prince who requires loyalty and love, has been expending her power for someone who doesn't even know who she is? Ultimately, the Daedra are not known for being good people. They're known for being people who require sacrifices and worship in their names, though what is sacrificed depends on the Daedra itself. I find it impossible to believe that, with absolutely no connection to Rigmor other than the plot demands it, would Azura expend that much power to help a single Nord. Another thing. Daedra don't particularly care for the struggles of good and evil when it comes to mortals. Normally, the only time they intervene is when something threatens them, a specific follower of theirs, or for their own amusement, or when they want to annoy a different Daedric prince. The ultimate cause of all this crap happens to be an entity that I won't name at the moment, but it's not one that Azura cares about from what I've managed to find. In summary, I don't buy this whole good versus evil shtick they're forcing onto Azura here. Still, there's more stuff to deal with.
But now, my own powers are weakening. I will eventually fade into the void.
But why?
Black arts are being used by necromancers to fuse Daedric steel with black diamonds. Black diamonds are the essence of my heart, which connects me to this world and the next.
Woo, lad. So we have a bit to unpack here with the black diamonds. Azura says that they're the essence of her heart, which connects her to this world and the next, right? Seems legit at first glance, but only assuming you don't understand what a Daedra is at its core. Not really. To really understand why I take issue with this particular bit, we're going to look back. Further back. No, not there. The furthest back. No, not quite that far back. Back to the time when the Et Ada, the spirits created from the contact between Anu and Padome, were first beginning the idea of Mundus. You've got the Et Ada to start with. This class of spirit was later broken down into 4 classes, but only 3 of these are important right now. There's the Aedra, the Daedra, and the Magna Gi. The Aedra and the Magna Gi agreed to help in the creation of Mundus. The Magna Gi chose to flee once it became clear that they'd need to sacrifice their power in order to finish the creation of the plane, and their escape created the holes in reality that became the stars. The Aedra chose to remain and sacrifice themselves to become part of the Earthbones, core precepts of reality. Their floating bodies are the 8 planets of Nirn's solar system. This means 2 specific things. Firstly, Aedra are directly connected with the physical realm, as they became part of it when they sacrificed themselves to create Mundus. Secondly, as stasis and a piece of creation, the Aedra can be killed. The death of Lorcan and the 2 moons, Joan and Jode, are an example of Aedric death. Now we come to the important part. What is a Daedra? A Daedra is a spirit that refused to take part in the creation of Mundus at any stage of the creation. The Daedric princes, instead of sacrificing their power to create stasis, created their own realms that change at their own whims, and are perfect reflections of themselves. These Daedra are gods that have never given up an iota of their power, except for Meridia. They are not part of creation, and thusly cannot be killed. Azura is a Daedra. Azura cannot be killed. Azura is not connected to creation. Azura is not connected to Mundus. There is no reason that these black diamonds should be connected to her, and no reason that mortals mining them should tax her power. If the 8 divines have plenty of influence on the world, and they sacrificed almost everything that they have, Azura has even more power than that to her name, because she never gave any of it up. How is it that Azura is losing her power because mortals are mining up a bit of creation? Creation that she had no part in making? It should be impossible. So let's add that onto the sins that have been piling up in this exchange.
They are attempting to forge armor and weapons, and the armor they forge will make them invincible.
Then everything will have been for nothing. How can we hope to stop an invincible army? There is a way, right? Is that why I'm here?
They are successfully forging armor, and every time they do, it weakens me in this world. But they cannot forge the weapons. Their efforts won't work, and they are lost as to why.
So there is still hope.
Only a Daedric weapon forged from my heart can void their invincibility. And it can only be so if the pieces of my heart have something very special. The essence of a mother's love from 2 sources wrought from bane. One source to fuse it, one source to wield it, and both must be blessed.
A mother's love?
Place your mother's ring and the necklace Cassius Varan gave you on the altar. Now place your sword upon the altar.
Of course.
Ah yes, the plot-important jewelry that was given to Rigmor
I am the
by
goddess
Cassius.
Azura,
Has a
mother
point.
of the rose, queen of the
Now we're
night
gonna see what
sky,
happens if you
the
just
dusk and
yoink
dawn.
Rigmor's sword. She seems kind of annoyed, but nothing else has happened.
Behold Rigmor of Bruma, protector of the pure of heart, daughter of a mother's love. I am the bane of Azura, the poison chalice of woe, vanquisher of the forces of evil. Behold Rigmor of Bruma, child of the twilight, the chosen champion of Azura.
Poor Nerevarine. Your memory is getting dragged through the dirt here to lay at the feet of Rigmor of Bruma. Your immortality, your canonical blessing by Azura, everything you ever did, gone. The only thing that matters is Rigmor of Bruma, because we live in the worst timeline. And yet, even though I stole Rigmor's sword,
Go, my
she
child.
still gets
Go
Azura's
quickly
bane.
and smite the forces of evil with my blessing.
Again with Azura caring about
Only
the
the
forces of
chosen
evil.
can wield Azura's bane. Make sure it never leaves your side. Go with my blessing
If only the
and my
chosen can
love.
wield Azura's bane,
May the
why does it
Guardian
matter
watch
if it
over you.
leaves Rigmor's side? Her enemies won't be able to pick it up anyway.
Wait. Don't go.
Your destiny awaits, my love. Your mother is waiting.
Azura!
And you know what, just to check, let's go into this here inventory, and we still have Rigmor's bastard sword. Daughter of Azura,
Yeah. I would never have believed it.
Let's go find this cave entrance. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Oh boy, now I gotta check on Rigmor. Okay, Rigmor, you ready for this?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Okay, stick close to Khajiit, yes? Don't go wandering off now.
Okay.
Khajiit needs you focused, like you said you would be.
Okay. Focus.
Promise Khajiit, Rigmor.
I
Promise her.
promise.
What was that?
Okay, I promise. Focus. Whatever.
That's more like it, daughter of Azura.
Daughter of Azura. That's actually quite cute.
I hate you, Rigmor. Let's just enter this mine, because the sooner we enter this mine, the sooner I can leave. And get paid that 10,000 gold that Barindar still owes me.
Dragonborn, wait. Trust me.
Are you gonna have another Disney princess moment, Rigmor, with that bear over there? Of course you're going to have another Disney princess moment with the bear. How could I think otherwise? Look,
Hey there.
even the
We're
bear
your
bows
friends.
before you,
Don't be
Rigmor, because
afraid.
it knows that you are the main character. What is it with you and bears?
I'm not sure. I just know. You know.
Khajiit does not know. Well, that's the end of this episode. So, goodbye until next time.